Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Brownsville Matters. I'm happy to have my favorite media star from the Valley, Danielle Banda, here to talk about life, the universe, and everything. Thank you for coming, Danielle.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing to be
And
here.
good to see you after haven't seen you actually in person for some time.
I know. You're busy with all your projects.
Yeah,
I keep
and you
up.
are too.
Yeah,
You're
and so
very busy.
Yeah, but it's nice to be here.
So glad to have you here where we can have a nice chat. So one of the things I wanted to reflect upon is I remember when I first, it wasn't when I first met you, but it was pretty close to that time because you were a student, and I walked into KMBH Studios and you were working there as an intern, I think. Were you an intern then?
It's an interesting start. I was not an intern at first. I just walked up to your department of communications at school, and I was like, hey, you know what? I've never done anything in TV, but this is my dream. And I wasn't quite a student yet, but I was going to be in a couple months. And, I just said, I'll volunteer my time. And thankfully they let me. And that turned into kind of, a progressive,
But it shows how you pay your dues.
Yes.
You go in and you pay your dues. Because I remember I met you because I was coming in to record a segment of Stories from Texas.
Love them.
On the radio there, and that was really, me paying my dues too, because that's where I started doing those stories, and then it became a statewide series, and so we both paid our dues, and we grew up, and now we're grown.
Yeah, and we're here. Here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
What have you seen about the evolution of media in the time that you've been involved, from the time that you started KMBH to today? Because I know you worked in San Antonio,
yes.
You worked across South Texas, You've seen a lot happen. What's happening with media in general?
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember I had a YouTube account when I was there at KMBH working, not as an intern, as a volunteer. Oh my goodness. And I remember kind of posting every now and then my work, and then I kind of just fell off it because I got busy and moving forward with station to station, job to job. Well, now I really wish I would have kept with it, because look at where we are. We're podcasts, YouTube stars, social media, it's all online. And it's interesting because yes, we have TV, but people want to see on their phones. They want to have instant access at their fingertips, whether it's news or just fun things to get their mind off the day. So I really think that the thing that has stood out to me the most to date is just how much we depend on social media. I wish I would have kept up better.
Well, I have been blown away by the very fact that TV went through a kind of democratization. It used to have kind of gatekeeping. You couldn't have a TV presence or a media presence unless you knew the producer, you knew the owner of the station, and you could get airtime and that sort of thing. And here, the first people to figure out the magic of social media were teenagers.
It's amazing. Wow.
Who said, I'm just going to make my own TV show.
Yes.
And then you got people like Ryan's Toy Reviews. Obviously, his parents helped him, but they said, let's put this kid on TV. We don't need a green light from anybody. We'll just create our own media presence, and boom, they became one of the stars of YouTube.
It's insane to think about, but it's amazing. And now it's amazing because you can take your education, you can take your experience, and if you don't have it, you create your own. There's really no excuse nowadays, and so even if you want, like you say, your own TV show, you can pitch it to TV stations, say, hey, you know what, here's my product. And what I've found and what I've seen throughout the years is that it's best not to just pitch and kind of say, here's my idea, but this is what I've done, and then give them an actual product, whether it's audio, video, whatever project you're working on, and then from there they can tell you, well, if you tweak that, maybe we can talk, or just kind of go forward with the conversation. But that wouldn't have been possible in the past, and now everyone's doing it. Like you say, teenagers, kids with their parents' help, and now that we know this, we need to implement it and use it to make our dreams come true, our careers successful.
We knew nothing of this term called influencer until maybe 10 years ago. And they created their own world, even their terms like merch.
Yes.
they developed their own presence, and then they didn't even bother to go through normal advertising channels. they just advertise their own merch that they created also.
I wish I was so smart because, you know, it's interesting, and what baffles me is that even celebrities, these A-list stars from Hollywood, they are now reaching out to regular people, quote, you know, and these regular people, influencers, they're the ones that have the power in their hands now, because now if what they say is taken as reality because their followers say, you know what, if they're selling me this skin product or beauty product, I believe them because they're probably not trying to, you know, make money off of me versus a TV star, you know, on a commercial. And then they start linking together, and now it's like the influencers have the power versus maybe the typical A-list star in the past. So it's incredible to think about and how far it's come and where it's going to go in the future. I don't know.
I've even heard certain TikTok stars complaining that the A-list stars are coming onto TikTok. They say, you already have enough traction in the world. Why are you horning in on our empire?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Don't you have enough?
Yes.
Do you have to be greedy?
They have the movie production studios and the contracts with TV and radio and film. Yeah, and I've heard that too. You know, they're like, this social media is our medium.
Yes, it's the people's. It's the people's medium.
Yeah, and you
don't be greedy.
No, and it's as much creativity as you want. It's your platform. No one is telling you can't say this or do this or put this out there, and you present yourself to the world the way you want.
You have your own TV show.
Yes.
And it's Valley por Vida.
Yes.
Right? What is the purpose of your show? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, you know, I think especially now after the past few years with the pandemic and everything going on, but even before then, life is hard, life is tough, everyone goes through stuff. For me, I've never wanted to just focus my career with the facts of what's going on in the world, because we know it, we need to know, but for me, I want to focus on the good things. So for me and my show, when I pitched it, when I created it, I wanted it to be something that was going to bring positivity to people and uplift them. Kind of like a very mini version of Danielle's imagination of Super Soul Sunday with Oprah. You know, I'm trying to talk about people that are doing good things, or just stories that make you feel good and don't make you feel like you can't do what you want to do. And so that's kind of my purpose. Of course, it's you know, it's my full-time occupation, so we do sponsorships and we do what we need to do to keep it alive. But at the end of the day, my personal goal with it is just to uplift, you know, and bring people together. And because when I see that on TV, it makes me feel good when I'm watching those inspirational podcasts and videos and, you know, commercials and stuff like that. And so to me, I just want to bring my own little version of that as best as I can.
Have you gotten to say, and you get a car, and you get a car?
In my head, maybe. Yeah, but that's kind of my goal.
But actually, that's a wonderful aim and goal, because I mean, that's why Oprah did so well, because she wanted to help people find their best selves and help them transform their lives into happier lives. Yes. She wasn't going to be a Debbie Downer. That wasn't her purpose. Although she would help people through their difficult times to see the light at the end of the tunnel, etc. Now, what stories have you done that you feel do that, where you yourself got inspired? So this is awesome.
Yeah, I think that it's great when I see somebody take a dream or a passion or a goal of theirs, and maybe in the past they've been told that they couldn't do it, or that it's maybe not too realistic, and then they actually do it and they turn it into a career path. I've seen that with local professional boxers who now are fighting on, you know, national Fox networks. I've seen it with local artists who now have, you know, their work displayed in different museums across the state of Texas, with their home base being here. I've seen it with local authors like yourself, you know, and their books and their products are bestsellers on Amazon, and just, you know, all these incredible things that people take from their minds from here in the Valley, oftentimes Brownsville, and, you know, just turn it into something big. And so I remember, you know, when I was in school, you know, they would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, well, I want to be on TV. And then, you know, they're like, well, you know, you have to work on that. For now, do you want to be a doctor or a lawyer? And I'm like, you know, so now I get paid to talk, maybe too much, but, you know, and so I've seen that, you know, there's a lot of people here in the Valley that have not cared what anyone else says, and they've just worked on their project, and they kept fighting and fighting and fighting until they made it a reality. And it's true with you and stories with Texas and just everybody. You know, I've seen musicians, they maybe work a full-time job here in the Valley, but then on the side they're hustling, trying to find concerts and venues. And the great thing is, I feel like the Valley is very positive and very community network, and I feel like we're all very willing to help each other. You know?
There's a lot of nurturing in the Valley.
Yeah, I really do see that. And I think if you go up to someone and say, hey, can I display this in your store? Or, you know, I think there's a conversation that's willing to happen because people want to help each other. And so I've seen that in my show when I'm reaching out to people and finding people. I just go online or, hey, do you know somebody? And, you know, it just kind of, you know, just conversations and meeting people. But that's what I've seen. Artists, authors, musicians, aspiring multimedia journalists that reach out to me, you know, just anything. And even sports, you know, just anything, and that even includes the educational sector, just people that are interested in science.
Well, you yourself are an example of this. You had your dream, and not only did you get your degree here in media, but you went on and you have a master's degree from Notre Dame.
I know.
So that's a wonderful story in and of itself.
Yeah, thank you.
And this complemented your dream of working in media here. You worked in San Antonio, and you did a lot of stories in Corpus. What do you know about South Texas that a lot of people don't know? What are some of the hidden little jewels of places you know that you think might be good for people to see, visit, experience?
You know, it's interesting because when you think of a city in general, in the United States and Texas in the Valley, you kind of think like of one landmark or one location or event. San Antonio, the Alamo. Austin, the Capitol, you know.
That's true.
But I think there's a lot of value in the things that are coming from mom and pop shops, you know, family-owned businesses and things that have grown into something bigger. And so, for example, you know, here in the Valley, I've seen a lot of, you know, like sports teams being formed, and maybe they're not participating in an actual league or an actual competition, but it's like, hey, we just want to have fun, you know, participation and, you know, little things like that. I've seen sports especially, and then, you know, in Corpus, I've seen a lot of fishing world, you know, events and businesses pop up. And so I think it's just, it's interesting to kind of go beyond what we typically think about a city, and then once you kind of dive in deeper, it's like, wow, there's a lot more to offer here.
Yeah, if you dig down deep, sometimes there are little jewels hidden there, here and there. There's all kinds of little museums in Texas that are unexpected. You know, it's not here in South Texas, but in Houston, there's an example. There's the Mortician's Museum, a museum of funeral homes.
There you go.
You would never expect such a thing.
Wow. Yeah.
But there's a lot of fascination in death.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I've seen unique museums.
And here, well, in the Valley, you have. I mean, it's not here in the Valley, but in Corpus, there's Selena's. Is it a museum or
yes,
just,
they turned it into a shop/museum, and there, of course, all the concerts and different events that they have, and it's definitely interesting to see how they can take just a concept or a person or a business and then kind of keep that legacy growing, but innovating it every single year. It's really amazing. I think Corpus has done a good job with that, with Selena specifically, and then of course the Valley in its own unique ways. It just depends. But I love those. I love those things where it keeps coming back to life every year.
And then you've done a lot of these stories through the Valley, on the island, and can you think of any places that are special like that here in the Valley, where you say, you know, not a lot of people know about this place and it's magical? Like one I think of is La Quinta Mazatlan, the very special house that they have there in McAllen that is particularly beautiful. Yeah,
I love that, you know, the Quinta Mazatlan, just entire environment, just because it's educational, but also entertaining, and also peaceful, relaxing environment. But what comes to mind is just in general, the city of Brownsville as a film society, because I've just been very involved in the film industry in general in the Valley. Whenever a movie comes down, maybe someone doesn't think about Brownsville as being a film hub necessarily, you know, but there have been a lot of feature films that have come down. You know, whether it's Comedy Central documentaries, Jeff Ross came down, did a quarterly special here for the border. Robert Duvall came down and did A Night in Old Mexico. There was Endgame featuring a Disney star and a Modern Family star. You know, big names, big people. Just last year, there was a film filmed at South Padre Island, and it was a romantic comedy. I mean, films in Harlingen as well, and it's really amazing to think about.
We just have a natural movie set here.
I would say so. If not, it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the ambiente. You don't have to go create it; just come here.
Yeah, I love that.
You've got much of what you want for certain types of movies.
Yes, and you know, maybe someone doesn't think about Brownsville like that. They think of Hollywood, you know, but no, Brownsville has been home to so many film sets and productions, and I think it's amazing.
Is this being actively, do we have a film commission here? Do we have anything like that?
Yes, yeah, in Brownsville, and it's not only just a society of people bringing professional organizations down to film, TV shows, and movies, but they also offer educational workshops, and there's opportunities for aspiring multimedia journalists and film, gurus and graphic design artists to go and to actually watch people in action, and a lot of that is happening in downtown Brownsville, and so I think that's really amazing because it brings your dreams to life. And there's actually there are several graphic and animation artists who've worked on Lionsgate productions that are now teaching classes here, and I've done a couple of segments about that on my show. There's a lot of different classes to name, but I don't think that's something that people know about.
Yeah,
you know.
And so how do people take these classes? Are they restricted to people enrolled in those schools, or is it open?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it kind of just depends. Based on the segments that I've done so far, I've seen certain classes that are free. You just show up and say, hey, I'm interested in this. And there are others that you have to enroll in, and it's a curriculum. CCEI is an example of one where you enroll. But, you know, there's so many different either workshops or actual formal education classes. And whether or not you use it towards a formal degree, you can use it towards a certification or something like that, and it depends on where you kind of go, but Brownsville has a lot of that, and I'm hoping to see it kind of move forward throughout the valley, but I've seen it for sure in Brownsville.
What is the thing that you've done in life that has prepared you most for your career today? What did you do that gave you the proper preparation to be good at what you do?
I think I've always enjoyed reading, and I've made a New Year's resolution. I take those very seriously for myself. I know sometimes I fall, but you know, I did one year a resolution. I'm going to read a book every month.
That's a good one.
And
That's reasonable.
I kept it, and even though there were some months that maybe I couldn't, in my head I made it up by reading 2 the next month.
Oh my God.
You know,
that's fair.
And and so that kind of opened my eyes to things. And
are you reading the books or listening to the books?
Both.
You do both.
Yeah, I do a mixture of both. When I travel to San Antonio, I'll do Audible, or just depends.
That's one of those magical moments for me when I discovered that. You could read the book, for instance, you could read the electronic book on Kindle, and then you turn on Audible, it picks up where you left off. I said,
incredible.
It's from the devil. How can it do that? How can it know you stopped here and pick you up there?
It knows.
It knows. So, but yes, the digital delivery is magical.
It really is. And every book that I've read, and I like mainly self-help books, and productivity books. And so when I read those, it kind of gives me a new outlook on things. And even if I think I'm doing something right or the right way, then it kind of gives me an idea. Maybe I can try this instead to reach my goal, or maybe I can think about this situation differently instead of negatively, or things like that. And then I also like to look at the stories of people that struggled that I look up to, and so yeah.
What have you learned from self-help that you think is a great piece of advice that has changed you at some level?
Yes, one of my favorite things that I've learned so far is it's called The Miracle Morning, based on a book I read, and it talks about the perfect structure to set up your morning routine, as taken by the CEOs and entrepreneurs of the world, Steve Jobs, and it's kind of something we've all heard, but maybe not implemented, which is exercise in the morning, even if it's just a quick 10-minute stretch or whatever you can do, and then read anything, just even if it's 5 minutes, whether it's a gratitude journal, a devotional, an inspirational message, something that's uplifting or personal to you, even if it's just a paragraph of something. So it's reading, exercise, and then water. Fill yourself up with water first thing in the morning. And then as much as possible, try not to be on your phone. I know it's so hard, especially if you have a career and a family.
That's where you're reading.
Yeah, no, I know.
But that's okay. You could probably read on your phone, just not be scrolling around. Right?
Yeah, just discipline.
You're focused. You're focused on that. Yeah.
Focus, yeah. But it has a list of 5 things that you kind of
make your bed.
Try to
Is
follow.
that one? Make your bed.
That's a whole book in itself. Yeah, I love that. I love that one because it starts off your day with a good note. But yeah, it talks about simple things that you can do, but simple things that you don't realize actually make an impact. And I think that that's very powerful.
Do you have to get up early? Is that one of those things? For your morning, are you supposed to get up early?
Everyone says that, but I think depending on whatever your schedule is, I think as long as you're making time to do something for your goals first before you do life's obligations, I feel personally that it's going to fulfill you and give you that energy to do everything else you need to do.
There's this commercial I used to love it, and I don't think it runs anymore, but it was for the U.S. Army. And it would show these guys in the darkness getting on helicopters, and they're dropped off at the base of a mountain, and they climb the mountain, and they're on top of the mountain. They've started a fire, they're having coffee, and the sun's coming up, and the guy says, in the U.S. Army, we do more by 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
Yeah.
And it's always stuck with me. It's just true. If you get up early, and you get busy, you get to working on things, you can do a great deal by 9 o'clock when a lot of people are just getting up.
Yes, and a lot of
and you're in the business, you have to get up early, right?
Yes, it's funny. I would still do it even if I didn't have to, but yes, I do. But yeah, no, I think that's so true. I feel like you have to pay yourself first, metaphorically, because you got to give your most energy to your projects and your passions and your family and yourself first, and then after that you can have the energy and the rest of the day to do life's obligations, and I've tried it for myself. At least for me, I find it works, and so that's why I try to tell people about it, because maybe it'll work for them too.
So, and this gives you plenty of energy all day, for mentally as well as physically?
I think mentally especially, because it feels...
And you're vegetarian too, right?
Yeah, I'm a vegan. I was a vegetarian until 2016, and then I went to the dark side.
And you went to the dark side.
Yeah, but
yeah. Well, how are they different? How's a vegan different from vegetarian?
Yeah, so vegetarian is just no meat.
No meat at all.
And then vegan is... You never ask a vegan about veganism, because we could go on and on.
Yeah, well,
but no, veganism is no animal product at all.
At all, okay.
Yeah, so milk, cheese, nothing.
Fish?
No. I'm one of those really hardcore vegans where not even my makeup or shampoo has animal byproducts. Okay. But anyway, that we'll go on and on if we talk about that.
Well, I'm connecting it to healthiness.
I see that, yeah.
So do you feel healthier having made... How long were you a vegetarian, for instance? Before you became vegan, how long were you a vegetarian?
It sounds untrue, but the truth is I was a vegetarian unknowingly since the 3rd grade. I just didn't like meat, and and eventually I connected and I'm a vegetarian. It was something.
How is that possible? Growing up Hispanic in the Valley,
it sounds untrue, but it's so true. Yeah, I mean,
what do you do about tacos? You just vegetables.
Yeah, but I feel like it does refresh you and bring your body this energy, and on top of the water, it's really hard. They say drink 6 to 8 glasses of water. You're going to the bathroom all day, but I just think it's important because I've seen it in my own life, especially on top of the veganism and on top of the morning routine, and it kind of all connects.
Well, the thing about the water, that's allegedly just kind of random. Someone just made it up and stuck it on a poster, and it's become like a law to people that you got to drink.
Like the food pyramid.
Yeah, you got to drink 8 ounces glasses of water per day, and it isn't really an absolute biological requirement. probably not going to hurt you, but you probably don't have to force yourself to have that much water.
I'm like 6 to 8. That's too much. I mean, it does feel nice because it's hot here in the valley, but
when I was one of the great surprises to me in my life is the bottled water. No one would have paid for water when I was a kid. You just didn't do that. Are you crazy? You're going to pay $2 for water? Water's free. Drink out of the hose over there.
Yeah.
So the bottled water is just a mind-blowing change in society. I mean, I was over at the university the other day, and I was looking. I said, "My God, the water is $3 for a bottle of water. I can go over there to the water fountain and get the water."
Yeah.
And I know it's about the filter and all that, but the public water systems are really, they're fine.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny when you think about it. It's kind of like air. Why are we paying for air? AC. Oh wait, it's cold air.
Yeah. Well, I bitch about paying for air at the gas station because that used to be free.
Yeah.
The water was free. The air for your tires was free. In fact, generally, if you filled up when I was a kid, well, of course, I was the one doing it because I worked at the gas station. But you got your car was vacuumed. You fill up, you get your car vacuumed for free.
Wow.
You get your tires checked for free, water and fluids checked for free, windshield cleaned for free. If you filled up, and of course that made sense because you spent $7 filling up your car, so you should get something after spending all that money.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible to think about.
Yeah, well, here's another thing. I was going over this in my mind not long ago, that the communications bill for my house as a kid, since TV was free, radio was free, newspapers paid, like $5 a month for a newspaper subscription, maybe a few magazines. Telephone was basically about $12 a month for a telephone on the wall.
Wow.
Nobody, when I was a kid, nobody said, "Where's the telephone?" It was right there on the wall always. There's a telephone.
Can't lose
Nobody
it.
lost their phone.
No.
And so the total communications bill, maybe a few magazine subscriptions, maybe $20, $25 a month was your total bill. And I was adding mine up recently. I think I pay about $800 a month for counting all the cell phones, because I pay cell phones for all the kids and everything. So that's a big bill. And then I pay for internet, and then I pay for Hulu, and on and on. So you add it all up, and it's a pretty big bill.
It really is.
But that goes back to what you're talking about in the beginning, that the communications revolution has changed everything.
It really has. It really has. I know. It's so many different ways to stream music and movies and your own content. It's interesting. Even just sharing things. It's not just texting. You can airdrop, or you can DM somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
Well, if you brought someone you resurrected somebody who died in 1990, and you set them here, they would be lost with a lot of the language that has come of age. The DMs and digital and on Hulu.
Hulu, Zoom.
You just Zoom, any of it. And Zoom has become a verb. I'll Zoom you. Do you Zoom?
Yes. Yeah. Do you Google, or can you Google this?
And then here's an example. This radio station is a low power FM station that was. These were created some years ago, but it was an answer to admission into the market of broadcasting in smaller power stations. So the fact that this exists is part of the evolution of media. But if you go back, it used to be that in the 1950s, you had stations that were high power AM stations that, well, in the U.S., they were restricted to 50,000 watts, so you could get KTSA out of San Antonio down here pretty easy, right? Because you had a 50,000 watt station. But in Del Rio, on the Mexican side, they had a broadcast power of 100,000 watts on an AM station, so they could hear you in Chicago.
Wow.
From Del Rio.
My, oh my.
So one of the changes is that the stations, there were not so many of them, but they were very powerful.
Yes.
But now, whereas CBS, ABC, and NBC used to dominate their market share has steadily dropped because the TikTokers have gotten traction.
I know. I feel like we do go to look at our news first on our phones, and then maybe we'll catch it on TV for an in-depth perspective.
Yeah.
You know.
Walter Cronkite used to say that television was a headline service, and then people would go to newspapers for the details. And now you can just pick your media according to whatever your particular interest is. If you are a person who is conservative in your politics, you go pick your conservative stations and feel at home with mother's milk. And the same thing for the liberals. And some people not into news at all. All they want is news about rap music, and then they
entertainment.
They restrict it. So it's very hard, as you know, to get traction because, as someone once said, we're the world's first over-communicated society.
I can see that.
And so it's hard to break through
to
get traction in a world where there's so many options.
Yeah, it's hard to focus in on what the actual message is sometimes because it's so much being thrown at you. I've seen documentaries about that. How many advertisements do we drive by in a day, or do we pass in a day? Even just on our soda cans, it's just messages being thrown at you every single day.
Years ago when I spent time in Africa, one of the things I noticed was when I got out from under the umbrella of massive communication and marketing, and suddenly I wasn't thinking all the time about products and things I might want to buy.
Except Whataburger.
Yeah, I thought about Whataburger all the time. But I got out from under that thinking about, I could use that or I could use that. And now, of course, we have the immediacy of purchasing. Used to be that if I wanted something, I'm talking, back 40 years ago, if I wanted something, or even 30 years, I had to get outside the house to go get it. And now if I am sold on an idea, like I'll give you an example. I was at the gym and I saw a girl wearing something for her cell phone where she could listen to music and didn't have to carry her phone. It just made it convenient to have her phone at the gym and listen to music, right? And I said, I need one of those. So right there, I got on Amazon and I ordered one.
Instant access.
So instant access to purchasing, which allows you to spend more money, by immediate purchase.
Yes.
Or it's a kind of point of purchase display, except it's it's there on your phone. And so the ability to, well, here's another example, is that the epidemic, the pandemic created this whole new market for home delivery of everything. So I think of the movie WALL-E.
Oh, yes.
You know that movie?
Yes.
And what's the message of that movie?
Well, it's interesting because I think that was more directed towards children, but it still kind of comes towards the adult. We can take the message from it too. So, but I think it's interesting that
people didn't move; they stayed stationary and had everything done for them. So they were, overweight and in poor health in a sense because they didn't have to do it. Robots did everything for them.
And even in that message, it's interesting because the kids today, they're growing up with that, whereas here we're kind of evolving with it, and we even see it with the curbside HEB and Walmart. We don't get off our cars, and so the children today, if they look at the message of WALL-E and curbside and just all the instant access on our phones, that's just natural to them. So it's a whole new world.
Oh, and I'm bad too. I sit there and I say, I'm hungry. I'd really like some pizza, but I'm too lazy to go drive to get it. All I got to do is get on Grubhub and have it delivered to my couch practically.
Yep.
I don't have to necessarily quite get up and go meet them in the driveway. Just leave it at the front door.
Yes.
And then I tell my daughter to get it and bring it in here.
Yeah, I know that. I think of also like Uber and Lyft. I remember when I first heard about those services, I'm like, why would you get in a stranger's car? Mama taught you not to do that, And now it's just normal, and it's just, what else am I going to think, in the future? That's weird, and then all of a sudden it's just the norm.
And then the YouTube drivers are creating TikTok channels making content of their everyday life and then selling the content, in essence, if they develop enough following. So you can, marry up your job, your everyday job, creating a content that might make you more money than your job's making you.
And oftentimes we see it, like you say, with influencers. How is it possible that you just create your own career? It's so many options available. It takes a lot, I'm sure. But wow.
If you can fall, like, I guess the classic example that I can think of is the Dr. Pimple Popper.
Oh yes. How did that? How?
she said, well, there's a lot of people be interested in watching me pop pimples and remove cysts and things. They'll find that interesting. And I'm thinking, wow, this is really gross. And my wife is saying, that's awesome.
Wow, yeah, everyone's different.
She said, I said, why do you like that? And she said, it just makes me feel good because it makes things better.
Wow.
You see them come in with this horrible thing, and then in a matter of minutes, they're better.
Wow,
and
yeah.
She said, so it makes me feel good for them.
That's how I feel about the chiropractic adjustments on YouTube. I'm like, that makes me feel good for some reason. Not the pimple popper, but I do like that. Or even the ASMR videos, the YouTube audience now, they just like the up-close sounds of something.
Oh, wow, that really blew my mind first time I saw that. I said, just the people making interesting noises, and that becomes a content that develops an audience. Or in Japan, they have these people who like to watch people eat.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that one.
Oh yeah, yeah. They got this huge. They do nothing but watch people eat, and it's not because they're hungry. It's about a culinary aesthetic appreciation of people enjoying food. Okay. And they'll watch Texans eating barbecue.
Wow.
And they find that interesting, or they'll watch people eating sushi. That's it. They just, and so there are these quote eating stars who, I guess, eat in an interesting way.
All right.
And we think that's crazy, but there are people who watch people playing games.
Yeah.
My daughter, who's 8 years old now, she watches people play Roblox.
Wow.
And there are people, they're stars. They have following 1 million people watching them play Roblox.
Yes, I see that with the video games and just games in general. And I also see that, I'm guilty of it, the watching people put on makeup. I like to watch that. I don't know why, but I didn't really think about it until you said it right now. Why? I don't know.
And there's kind of a genre, it seems to me, of people who like to watch things cleaned up. There's a guy that does yard work, and he'll go to a house where the lawn is overgrown, the sidewalk's overgrown, it's in really bad shape, and he'll say to them, I would like to cut your lawn and edge your sidewalks for free. And it becomes his content. He goes and takes his house that's in disarray, and he cleans it up and makes it beautiful and clean and neat, and people feel better. It's kind of like the pimple thing, really. Took something in disarray and made it all better.
Yes, I've seen that with the homeless puppies, and then they give them a grooming. And so I think you're onto something. I think we like the satisfaction. We like to see things come together.
Yeah.
It's like a peaceful, moment.
Yeah, we like to see it cleaned up. But it's made possible by all this digital technology that didn't exist long ago, and it comes to us through the ubiquity of cell phones that make every moment recordable and possible. And then the editing of that material is very accessible. It's right there. It's a program, and it's easy. I've seen my daughter do it. She can edit at her age, and she can edit quite well. Yeah,
just a photo. You don't need Photoshop. Just do a little light reduction and insert this into that saturation, and boom.
So where do you think we go from here?
Oh boy.
What's the future?
I wish I knew. That way I could be the next Steve Jobs.
Be the next right?
I wish I knew. If I did know, I would be working on it quietly and, my master plan. But I'm not sure. But
well, one thing we do know, that we know for sure, just from watching the evolution of technology over time, is digital technology is not the end game. there will be something else that will come along. And as always, the secret to the success is to be the first one there and give them no reason to change from you as the pioneer of whatever that new medium is. It could be holograms.
I was going to say that. Or, yeah, we're kind of there with the self-driving cars, you know. I think the inventor, whoever an inventor is, would think, how can I take, instead of reinvent the wheel, how can I take something that's kind of difficult and make it easier, and then kind of go from there for a concept, you know. That's interesting.
Something I'm concerned about, although I don't need to be terribly concerned because I'm old, is that I have gotten a good deal of work in my life because of my voice.
Yes.
But now, because of AI and the ability to take, various interesting voices, and anybody can pull it and use it for their videos or advertising, I become less valuable because you can recreate a version of me or some voice like mine and use it to your heart's content without having to pay for it.
Yes, I hear you with it, like me with TV. I'm like, well, I got it at a TV station, and then oh wait, I could just put it on YouTube, and I don't need a TV station. But it's interesting. I think that can be applied in every field. It is. It is, yeah. Because
for a long time I thought, okay, certain fields are at risk because of digital technology that. Banking, for instance, and now I don't have to go apply to a bank. I can apply to 8 banks at once. I'm in charge, and banks come to me and beg for my business, So it kind of turned things on their head. And so as a professor, I thought, well, we're pretty safe there because, you got to have the individual doing the teaching. It's very difficult to convert that into AI, but not so. Yeah. You can take a star professor's beautiful content about Shakespeare, and you can package it as a course on Shakespeare, and you could offer the Shakespeare course, everywhere, and not have to pay individual Shakespearean professors. So there's a lot that's scary in this brave new world.
There is. I've seen a lot of growth, especially on YouTube, with the tutorials. Piano, teach yourself piano, teach yourself art, teach yourself how to publish your own book. It's just all these how-tos. There's one YouTube star that comes to mind. He's a father who had 2 teenagers, maybe you've heard of him, and he had 2 teenagers who went off to college, and he wasn't going to be with them because it was a faraway city, and he decided to create a YouTube channel for them on private. Here's what happens, sweetie, if your drain gets clogged or if your car gets a flat tire. And then he realized, hey, this is kind of helpful for a lot of people. Yeah. And now his how-to channel, I think he's called the Fix It Dad or something like that. And now he teaches all his children on YouTube. And it's, wow, you learn.
Well, I heard about a guy similar to that who was kind of offering, I don't know what you call him, the online dad, maybe a similar deal, but he was more focused on kids without fathers, teaching them how to tie a tie, and for particularly for boys who didn't have a father in the household.
I love that.
So there's very creative things that people are able to do. There's a woman here in Brownsville, I think, who has over 1 million uploads or listens, you might say, she reads books, and she reads books like children's books, and so the kids tune in just so they can have a book read to them. So there's all kind of niches that are available to the creative person who wishes to get out there, and a lot of it's accidentally discovered.
Yeah.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know there was a market for this. And I'm kind of a case in point. I didn't know there was a market for people wanting stories about Texas, and so kind of stumbled into it.
That's amazing. Wow. It's interesting to think how you took that concept, and brought it to life. It reminds me the YouTube by accident concepts that come to life, like the unboxings. Here I got my brand new AirPods, whatever, and let me show you. Well, here's the wrapper. Here's the instructions. So it's interesting, but it's always amazing.
So it's about marketing mystery. here, I got this box, watch me unbox it, see what's in here.
Mystery, yeah. Or maybe you're about to buy that product and you're thinking, oh, I can't wait till it comes in the mail. Let me watch you open the brand new shiny thing or something. It's maybe a combination. I don't know.
Then we have this other genre called it's not called this, but I think of it as the philanthropist. They're the people who go out and give money to strangers. They're just doing this great deed. I suppose that they've developed enough of a following that they make enough money that they can give money away, and giving money away is the content that gives them the income to give money away. So
I've seen that.
It's cyclical, but it's beautiful. And they just go and do nice things for people and astound them by saying, here's $1,000 to help you with your day.
Emotional response.
Yeah,
I saw one who was a student from Austin. I was like, oh, it's nearby. Let me listen to this. Well, he turned a penny into buying a house, and he documented the whole journey. And I'm like, how would this happen? I'm just like watching, not prepared for this. And then it turns out he would take one penny and then he would go and be like, just to a random person in on the street or something, and say, hey, will you give me that pack of gum in your purse for a penny? And they're like, okay, just for the sake of a YouTube channel or for supporting someone, a stranger. And then he gets that. He's like, okay, well, I turned my penny into whatever is the worth for the pack of the gum, and then he goes and does the same thing and trades it, and then eventually he actually buys a mini house, and then he gives the proceeds to a charity, and then he does this again and again and again in different but similar concepts, and he's from Austin.
I haven't heard of that. That's fascinating.
I mean, it's like you say, whether it's by accident or people just come up with something and it leads them to something else, it's just the possibilities are endless with what we could do. It's just getting there.
I saw, it reminded me, it's not quite the same thing, but it just reminded me of this guy who would go up to people and he would say, I think he would say, you want to answer a question for $5.
Okay.
And then he asks them, a question, what is the capital of Texas? Austin. Okay. You won $5. Do you want me to give it to you or pass it to the next person?
Wow.
And then they would say, well, just pass it to the next person. He goes, next person, do you want me to give you this $5 or double it and give it to the next person?
Wow.
They say, double it and give it to the next person. So it was interesting to see how far it would go before someone would say, no, I'll take it.
I'll take it, thanks. Bye.
Yeah. So,
wow.
So all kinds of creativity out there in the world. So what's the future for Danielle Banda?
I really want to continue growing the concept of self-help, but through TV and entertainment. So I'm not sure if that's going to be with my show and another product together. I'm not sure where that's going to lead exactly, but I do know that that's what I want to do. People ask me all the time, do you want to go do news or something else? Or, maybe this is a bigger opportunity. You'll get more viewers here or more following here. But I'm like, no, I believe in my show, or my goal here. And so I think whatever my future may lead to, I do know that I want it to lead to broadcast and inspiration. So I'm hoping that I can continue pushing through with that goal.
Well, you need to be a minister.
Yeah.
That's where those things are married, synthesized quite often.
I can see that,
the religious message along with inspiration.
Yeah, and I'm a follower of all those too, many of those channels. Yeah.
I can see it. I can see that future for you.
That's what I want, because I've realized that in some of my toughest times, in addition to the self-help books and my family and all of the natural things, I think, wow, I really like to just go on YouTube and watch an inspirational video or something like that. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm doing my best to do it here in my home, and then from there take it, because some people will keep the beauty of whatever they learn and implement it here for our home and our community, and others will take it somewhere else, and then that's how it flourishes, So I'm just hoping to do that as best as I can, especially because it helps me in my own headspace. Yeah. And so I think it helps other people too in their own, on an off day, you look at someone like, okay, they're still moving, and so I think it combines the thrill of audio and entertainment and visual, but also with something that means something. So I actually watched a video that said how to find your life's purpose in 5 minutes. I'm like, well, let's see. I click on it, and he basically implemented journalism with this concept. And he said, when you're out doing an interview for TV, you try to get the story, the who, what, where, when, why. Well, think about your life that way. You know, who are you? What is your purpose? When are you going to fulfill this purpose? Why are you doing it? You know, you kind of break it down that way. And to me, it related because of media. And then from there, you know, I took like a pie chart. Like I just drew it out and I divided it into all my categories. I'm like career, social, friendship, health, you know, and you kind of divide it and you figure out, okay, well, this is what I'm doing in this place, Earth, you know? And so that's just kind of how I've broken it down in my head with my books and all my research and stuff. And so that's kind of where I kind of try to lead to. And sometimes I fail at it, sometimes I don't, and I'm just doing the best I can with it. But that's kind of like where I'm coming from, you know?
Sounds very Aristotelian, because you know, Aristotle liked to define the nature of things, and he would say you have to ask what is it made of, who made it, what is it for?
Yeah.
And so you can kind of do that about yourself. What is your nature? Who made you in terms of the collective influences that produced you at this moment, and what are you for?
Yes.
What are you made for?
Yes, my mom always tells me, you have to stand for something or you're going to fall for anything. And then she also tells me the way you do one thing is the way you're going to do everything. And it's just like those big entrepreneurs, you know, these Tony Robbins and all these people, you know, they say, tell me what you do in a day, your routine for one day, and I'll tell you what you'll be in 10 years or 5 years. And it's true because, you know, it's just the way you do one thing it is the way you're going to do many things. Maybe not all the time, but, you know, you just got to get yourself into the habit of whatever's going to become you.
So has your mother had great influence on you?
100%. 100%. Oh, I don't even know what to say
She's
about that.
been your role model?
Yeah.
Because she does one thing really well?
It's so funny. Maybe not cook my vegan food, but no, I'm just kidding. But she does a lot well. No, but yeah, no, she's definitely been a rock for me. Yeah, especially like you say, a minister in faith. You know, for me that's important. And so I remember one day I was crying because I was like, how am I going to do this show, just me and one other person? You know, and she was like, you're not acting like a woman of faith right now. And I was like, you know, like, well then, and it kind of stuck, you know, and so here I am, and so I kind of just take what you know, what she gives me, and then what I read and what I see, and you know, I just take it, and mentors, you know, like you, and so just people I meet, you know, so just a little bit of everything. I think that, like, going back to just the Valley and inspiration here, I think there's a lot of passion here in the Valley, and so I'm really grateful to kind of just grow that network, and I think it comes to life, you know.
Well, you're an inspiration to me because I saw you from the time you were, you know, quite young with your dream in class, but you were always an extraordinary student. I saw the light in you.
Thank you.
Very early on, but I'm so impressed and inspired by the journey that you've carved out for yourself and all the achievement that you've had. So I expect great things from you in the future. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of a brilliant career. You know, to me, you're not at midpoint, you're at the beginning. And so I'm going to get to see you rise to great heights from here.
That means a lot. Thank you.
And I thank you for coming in and sitting on the couch and having this nice conversation. I've loved it.
I love it too. Let's not end it. No, just kidding. Thank you.